How's it going, everybody? It's your guy Wardy here, and I am amped up to get into our latest Big Mets update segment, that being May 10th, 2025, as I attended last night's amazing victory by a final score of 7-2 over the Chicago Cubs, and we went live yet again from the Cadillac Club. They're the only fans still in attendance at Citi Field after the game, so if you guys didn't check it out, please make sure you do so, as we had so much fun breaking down our initial reactions to last night's amazing victory, because today we're going to further expand on that 7-2 victory, specifically on the player spotlight front. And there are two guys we're going to get into today, that being the one and only Juan Soto, as he is officially red hot, everybody. Buckle up, strap in, and get ready for the ride. Juan Soto is here, and he's going to be magical throughout the course of the 162. We're also going to get into Brett the Hitman Baty stepping up and taking advantage of the opportunities given to him, as this is start of something brewing for Brett Baty, finally in a Mets uniform. And from there, we're going to get into arguably the Mets' top pitching prospect, with the exception of guys like Brandon Sproat, Jonathan to a degree, and that is Mr. Nolan McLean, made his long-awaited, highly anticipated Syracuse Mets debut this past night, and needless to say, he was really good. From there, we're going to talk more on the prospect front, everything that transpired, Port St. Lucie, all the way up there to Syracuse. So thank you guys again kindly for smashing that like and subscribe button as you first chime in, as we got a lot of breakdown here today on the WardyNYM platform. And shout out to everyone that I had a great interaction with yesterday at the game. It was a pleasure meeting so many amazing Mets fans, and I can't wait to be back there this Sunday for Mother's Day and the series finale matchup. But folks, before we get into this, and as you guys let me know all your reactions in the comments down below, let's give a quick shout out to today's video sponsor here that many of you guys know at SeatGeek. SeatGeek has you covered for all your ticketing needs, everybody. So if you don't know, now you know. Not only do they have over 70,000 active events for you to choose from, making them the #1 rated ticketing app in the game today, but they also have something that really separates themselves from the rest, of my opinion, which is why I'm so grateful to have them here as a season-long sponsor on the WardyNYM platform. Thanks to you guys using a promo code that you can check out by clicking the link down below that I'll talk more about in a second. But folks, SeatGeek I've utilized personally going back to my days in high school, since I want to say at least 16, 17, and that has a lot to do with their grading scale. There's nothing else like it, in my opinion, in the ticketing space, guys. Look beside me. You guys get a chance to go in the SeatGeek app with ease, and then you have a grading scale 1 to 10 and a color coordination scale of red to green. If it's more in the 7 to 10 range and in the green, that means it's great bang for your buck, as you guys see there, and you absolutely want to hammer it should you guys wish to purchase tickets there for Mets ticket needs or whatever you need in the ticketing space. If it's more in the 1 through 5 range and the red, then it's not a good bang for your buck. The seller is really putting them at a higher price point than what they otherwise should be, and you're better off seeking tickets still elsewhere there in the SeatGeek app. So whether it's for Mets tickets, concert show tickets, comedy show tickets, SeatGeek has you covered, all needs on the ticketing front. So now it's up to you guys. If you want to save some bucks on some Mets tickets this year, I know so many of you guys have already used our promo code, so please make sure to check it out again by heading over to SeatGeek, clicking the link down below the description, and utilizing our amazing promo code at Wardy10. That way you too get 10% off your next ticket purchase, everybody. And thank you guys so much again for doing exactly that, and shout out once more to our friends at SeatGeek. But let's get right into this, guys, because I am amped up. And if you guys couldn't tell, the voice is a little raspy for this early day recording. That's because I was screaming my head off yesterday. Is in a normal rainy day game there, night game I should say, there at Citi Field on a Friday, where it's a blackout night. You still get over 35,000 strong in attendance, and it felt like yet again another playoff atmosphere. And I had the privilege of taking my brother this game, and this was the first game that he's hit at Citi Field since the 2023 season. And he was taken back by truly the atmosphere, how I cannot believe that we're in May right now, and this feels like we're in September, October. I'm like, I know, it's magical, and this is what the homestand has been all season long so far. Every single time the boys are at home, the fans are showing up, and because of that, the boys are showing up as well. And guys, there are a lot of players that stepped up in this past night's 7-2 victory, but there's one man who is officially on a heater that I'm so happy to say, if you guys couldn't tell, smiling cheek to cheek here, and that is, yes, the one and only, and Mr. Juan Soto. Another massive game for Juan. I'm so grateful to say that I've been in attendance for not only home runs he's hit in spring training before his official season with the Mets started there in Port St. Lucie, but now fast forward all these months later, getting to witness one of his first homer games at Citi Field, because prior to this, Juan Soto only had those 2 opposite field home runs that we saw in a losing fashion at Citi Field. So this was a huge tank, especially knowing that was a Friday night Mets game that they were going to win comfortably. That was so electric about it. Juan Soto, a 430-foot bomb that we saw there ripped to right, and that was 110 off the bat there, a 268 average, at 891 OPS for Juan Soto, who went 2 for 4 with the home run and then an opposite field RBI single that got out of the reach of Dansby Swanson, because Dansby Swanson just had horrendous fundies the entire ball game against this Mets team, helping Luis Angel Acuna get there on first and helping a couple runs score to make it initially at the time in the ball game yesterday 5-0. There's Juan Soto chopping up there with people in the bullpen, getting more seeds like he usually does. So I love that thing that continues to go on for Juan Soto and his personality. But guys, Juan Soto's officially here. If you take a look at just his stats over the past 10 games alone, listen up everybody, because the past 7 games are good, but I want to go to the past 10 because they're even better. 297 average, 11 hits, 5 home runs for Juan Soto over the past 10 games. He's averaging a home run every other game right now. 7 RBIs and 9 runs scored in the past 10 games. If you look over the past 7 games, he obviously is a higher average, and the slugging is through the roof. He's had over 700 slug the past week of baseball that he's played for the amazing Mets, which you love to see. But Juan Soto has been absolutely magical. We're seeing Mets fans thrive on him. We're seeing less and less of the notion that, Juan Soto isn't stepping up and performing to the caliber that we expect and hope that he will for a $765 million man. He's doing everything that we could possibly ask right now, and it's so great to see. And now the league is finally starting to get noticed, folks. A locked-in Juan Soto with a locked-in Pete Alonso, a locked-in Francisco Lindor, and everyone else in company in this Mets lineup is making them, without question, one of the best overall lineups in Major League Baseball. Not just the National League, we're talking all of the game today. And as we look ahead eventually to this weekend's matchup, Subway Series, first one ever, with Juan Soto's in a Mets uniform there in the Bronx. I can't wait for that to happen, because we know the Bronx Bombers have been raking as of late with Mr. Martian and Jason Dominguez, among others. So I'm really looking forward to the return, if you will, heading over there to the Evil Empire this weekend, regardless of how the Mets fare. That's going to be absolutely electric, and I think we're going to get a lot more of this, right? You're going to get so many boos, you're going to get so many cheers, you're going to get fights, everything's going to happen there the Subway Series this upcoming weekend. But before we get there, let's see how Juan Soto does for the ensuing number of games that the Mets still have left here in the series against the Cubs, and then throughout the remainder of the week heading into eventually next weekend. Mets fans, my question to you is simple. On a scale of 1 to 10, how impressed have you been with Juan Soto's latest stretch of games, finally getting red hot for this amazing Mets team, and it couldn't come at a more vital time as the schedule's not getting any easier, and it's going to be a gauntlet for this Mets team throughout the course of the 162. So need to make sure that you have your top guys locked in early and often, and we are grateful to say that for the vast majority of the season, the Mets have gone that thus far from a lot of their top players, with the one exception really being Juan Soto, looking like the only guy that's really not getting in on the fun when the Mets still have, say, an 8-2 victory, or they dominate and they say win, 6-0 entirely. Great pitching performances, great offense, but Juan Soto just gets on base 3 times with 2 walks and a single. That's going to happen plenty more throughout the season, but if we can get Juan Soto now starting to implement the power as smooth as he's doing right now, spreading for all fields, boy, oh boy, do we have something special brewing in Flushing, Queens. And talking about the Mets bats that stood out in this outing, we can't just talk about Juan Soto, because there's another lefty bat that really stood out to me and the minds of many, and that is Mr. Yes. Oh boy, get ready for this, everybody. Yep, you know the drill by now. A man that I didn't know for certain was going to be in the line for this past night's game, and yet he was, and I'm really happy that he was, not just based on what we ultimately saw, but also based on the fact that this is someone who came out and showed out in a very, very magical way. I'm actually going to pull up here for the highlights, because I realize that they might have not saved individual, and that's fine. I'm going to just run them entirely from this past night's game, but we're going to talk about more, not just on Juan Soto, guys. Let's talk about not even Jeff McNeil, as amazing as McNeil's home run was. No, guys, it's time to talk about, yes, Brett the Hitman Baty. Let's talk about Brett Baty and what he did so great this past night's game, because let me just make something clear as well. And guys, the highlights that you're about to see also are for the entire game highlights, so you will see Baty highlights there in just a second. Just be patient, as long as I can't seem to find them, unfortunately, trying to pull them up myself. I'll do one more thing just to see if that's going to do the trick here, and if not, no worries. Yeah, I don't think they're going to pull up. Oh, wait, there. Oh, there we go. I found Baty. Never mind, there's just the Baty highlights. Awesome. Okay, Brett Baty, guys, I want to give a massive shout out to my brother, because there is no one on planet Earth that I think had a better pregame prediction of how this game would go, with specifically Brett Baty, than him. Please listen up to the following recording that we recorded in my car en route to said game yesterday. Score predictions for today's game, and I'm going to go ahead and ask my guy Richie here what his final score prediction is for today's game.
I'm going to go 4-2 Mets, and I'm thinking Baty has a bounce back game. I think he gets a couple hits.
So,
if Baty is in the starting lineup, because that's the big question, one, because we don't know if he's going to be starting today or not. If he is, though, I love the idea of Brett the Hitman having himself a day. That's such like a random pick, too, out of all people in the Mets lineup. You're like, we're going Brett Baty today. And you know what? I kind of like that because little does I think even Richie know based on the last game I was at, but Brett Baty hit himself a freaking tank off of Zach Wheeler the last game I was at, and then he was sent down the next day. So maybe it's a sign. Maybe it's a sign that it's going to be Brett Baty's day. But I am not going to give a full score prediction right now because I honestly don't know. But I'm going to give you guys my player standout on the offensive end between the Mets and the Cubs. And for the Mets specifically, I feel like that this has to be another game that if it's not the polar bear, it's Francisco Lindor. Lindor has thrived at homestands this season, especially in his first at-bat as well. So I'm really excited to see how Lindor is going to do. Everyone else in company, and we...
All right, guys, you heard it right there. So not only did my brother have the Brett Baty prediction nailed, but I had the Lindor prediction nailed because Lindor had the leadoff bomb because, of course, he did. And Baty going oppo. And it wasn't just the fact that Baty went oppo because we've seen Baty go opposite field before. And when Baty's went opposite field before in the past, you're saying to yourself, okay, you know, like that's cool to see, but that's because he's clearly behind and that's why it happened. No, Brett Baty got all of that one. 92 sayonara. It is out of here. Got that one well past there. Just the line there that you're going to see. The bar and left. He absolutely tanked that thing for an opposite field home run. Brett Baty with a 2-for-4 game, 1 home run, a 210 average, and a 633 OPS. But that doesn't tell the whole story either. The whole story here when we talk about Brett Baty is the fact that he now got the start for this Mets team over Mark Vientos at third base. And heading into this matchup, I really like the lefty-heavy approach that Carlos Mendoza did. He deserves a lot of credit. Heading in the game, I actually said to my brother, again, I wouldn't be shocked if maybe they go Baty and McNeil if they just load the lefties in there because that's something that Mendoza's like to do against soft-tossing right-handers. And he did exactly that. And Tyone left way too much over the heart of the plate. A guy that does not like to walk batters quickly became his own demise because he was challenging these Mets hitters when they know how to rake, to say the least. And Baty hitting that opposite field home run. I'm now grateful to say I've been in attendance for the back-to-back games that Baty has hit a home run at Citi Field. So when I'm there Sunday and Baty's playing, you might as well hammer on your favorite sports book there. Shout out to our awesome friends at BetUS. If you know, you know. Check them out. Feel free to hammer the prop of Brett Baty over on the home runs because I feel like it's going to happen, right? But my biggest takeaway from Brett Baty getting a big game like this, batting in this Mets lineup, and mind you, batting sixth as well, and being proficient in doing so. I'm not expecting this to happen every single night, and naturally Baty's going to have his ebbs and flows, but this is a confidence builder, and this is now back-to-back games where Brett Baty has been lethal for this Mets team. And just to add a little bit more on the Brett Baty front with how impactful he's been, if we go back now over his past 10 games played for this Mets team, past 10 total from the previous time that he was with this Mets club before being sent down. He has a 290 batting average, 9 for 31 to be exact. He has 3 walks for a 353 on base percentage, a 966 OPS, 2 doubles, 1 triple, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, 5 runs scored, and a stolen bag. Yeah, Baty is performing, and the Mets perform along with him. The Mets have now won their last 8 games that Brett Baty has found himself playing in. Like, that is telling you that he might be a little bit of a good luck charm, as well as not only the great defense that you see at the hot corner or second base, but now the power implementation, the ability to lift a baseball. Now, naturally, we want to see him lift and drive and pull versus always going opposite field, because opposite field has kind of been his demise, where he's had a lot of balls flat, grounders there, grounding out right to third base as a lefty batter. But to see Baty do more of this, that is what we're all hoping to see. And the big critique that we've had early on with Brett Baty in his career, I think most of you guys can agree with this, has really been his lack of ability to handle MLB velocity, because he has one of the quicker bats that you'll see not just for the Mets, but in Major League Baseball. Like, he has statistically had one of the faster bats in the game if you look through Baseball Savant. But his big demise has really been his approach at the plate, making very poor swing decisions, constantly down 0-2 in the count there, and then setting himself up for failure. But if we see more of this from Brett Baty, where he's taking a calm, cool, and collected approach, taking what's given to him, not chasing too much out of the zone as well, this could be another very impactful bat for the Mets. And I'm telling you guys, Baty and McNeil both have all the potential in the world to be like true ultra utility players for this Mets team. And whether one is more the utility over the other, all I care about is that the team wins and that they're succeeding succeeding in doing so. And in the case of Vientos, I think that now hopefully this puts a little bit of a fire under his you-know-what, similar to how it was last year when he was first competing with Baty after getting the call a little bit later into the season, and he bested Brett. Now, Brett is kind of obviously in a friendly competition trying to best Mark now. That's good. We want healthy competition for our young players, especially if they're going to go out and try to one-up each other each time. So whether Vientos gets more consistent reps at third base or gets more exclusive looks at DH, because Marte is kind of a big swing and miss as to what you're getting there sometimes at DH, even though that Vientos has been laying the world on fire by any stretch so far this season, you do have to think to yourself, the Mets really can roll out more lineups should they wish to have Baty in there at second or third base. If they have him at second, you could have Vientos at third. You could have Acuna there, either coming off the bench, maybe Acuna at center, even though I think he's best at second. I think the more realistic route that we should see more of is, again, what we saw last night. But instead of maybe having DH Jeff McNeil, maybe you're going to have games where, again, Vientos is at DH. Maybe you put Jeff in left. Maybe you give Nimmo the off day. Or maybe you have McNeil getting some reps in center for when you want to give Tyrone Taylor some off day. And then you're going to have there Brandon Nimmo in left. There are various configurations Carlos Mendoza can go down. And as we highlighted a couple days ago when Brett Baty did get called back up to the Mets, I reiterated and Mendoza reiterated the exact same thing verbatim, that they just have endless opportunity with what they can do here with the lineup now because of how versatile Baty makes things for the remainder of the lineup, because he's a lefty bat that they can prioritize in specific matchups. He has great infield defense. I would argue that Baty is without question one of the best infield defenders for the Mets right now, with obviously Acuna and Lindor. If I'm being honest, everyone in the Mets infield is good, right? Like, I don't think there's anyone that's bad. Alonso, you could argue, is the least good of the bunch, but even him, he's had some really great plays of flash and leather that we've seen this season. He just needs to not make some boneheaded plays there, missing multiple foul pop-ups that we saw yesterday at Citi Field, as well as, maybe just having some underhand tosses that aren't too great there, rushing things at first base. With that exception, he's been good. Brett Baty, though, really impressive to see the game that he had this past day. And hopefully this is a continuation. Hopefully this has opened the door a bit for him to get more consistent playing time and various roles for this New York Metropolitan team. Mets fans, my question to you guys in the comments down below is as follows. How are you feeling about Brett Baty so far this season after another very productive home run-filled game? And do you think that there is a level of sustainability with Brett Baty actually being a major league caliber batter here at this level? Thank you guys again for that. And now let's go on from talking about not just Brett Baty, but let's get into now more on the prospect end, everybody, because I am so excited to break down with each and every one of you the Syracuse Mets debut for Mr. Nolan McLean. Just take a look at this, guys. He is so good. So unbelievably good. This is why I've been raving about him since going back to spring training. This is why I told you guys it will not be long before McLean gets moved up there to AAA and hopefully soars. Nolan McLean and Felipe De La Cruz, two prospects that we've highlighted on the platform the past week plus. What do they have in common? They both absolutely dominated in their Syracuse Mets debuts. We saw Felipe De La Cruz go 6 shutty with 9 strikeouts. Then he won 1.2 shutty as a reliever a couple days later. McLean in his Syracuse Mets debut goes 7 shutty. And the number 7 is the key number here. Lucky number 7. 7 innings, 7 hits, 7 strikeouts on 78 pitches for 0 walks and 0 earned runs. And not only was Nolan McLean looking good, guys, this is one of the best pitching prospects in Major League Baseball right now. When you look at how he utilized his arsenal in this one, he had the sinker, the slider, the sweeper, the four seam, the changeup, and the curveball. He sat right around 95 on the sinker. On the slider, he sat right around 89, 90. On the sweeper, he sat right around 86. On the four seam, he sat 96. The changeup, he was at 85. And the curveball, he was at 84. And the best part of it all is that based on multiple graphs that we saw this past day, he ranked either around league average or north of 10 to 15+% above league average in these respective pitches there for the Syracuse Mets. And to highlight things further, everybody, not only does he have a deep repertoire, so this is a 5+ pitch mix greater than what I was initially expecting heading into the start. So that made me really happy. And seeing the advanced data on him too, we're seeing that sweeper has been continued to be as advertised. It is disgustingly good. The horizontal break is so much fun. And then have a hard slider that you're touching basically 90 on as sweeper at 96. That's going to do massive damage for the opposing team. Apologies for the delay. I just had to sneeze off air for a second. As we continue on, everybody, that slider is disgusting. The fastball as well is solid. That we saw there ranging 95 to 96. Has potential to touch the high 90s. And now there are Mets fans out there going out of their way to already say that Nolan McLean is the best pitching prospect in the organization. Now, while I personally can't say that in full confidence because I do still see a lot of upside with Brandon Sproat, to a degree with Jonathan and many others in the farm, I do agree on the notion that Noel McLean looks like the most polished prospect of the group. Whether or not he has the highest potential, that has yet to be seen, but I don't think there's any denying from what McLean has done so far in the minor leagues that he has had a more impressive trajectory upward right now than even Brandon Sproat, because Sproat has had 0 starts at the Syracuse level. I shouldn't say that. He's had like 1 start, I'd say, at the Syracuse level of similarity to this. But for McLean to comfortably do this his first time out there tells me that he is so close to MLB ready, it's not even funny. Guys, I'm going to go out and say something that I feel like a lot of you fans know, but I'll reiterate it. Do not be surprised when one of Noel McLean or Brandon Sproat is a key factor for this Mets team by the time that we reach midsummer. Whether it's because of inconsistencies of certain aspects of the starting staff, which I'll say right now, the Mets rotation is unbelievable. They only have 1 starter right now with an ERA over 3, and that's David Pearson, just over 3. The Mets rotation is amongst the best in baseball without Frankie Montas and Sean Manaea. So the idea of them being added back into this rotation and having top pitching prospects on the cusp of being MLB ready, McLean, Sproat, among others, are all having the expectation to impact this Mets team as soon as this season, everybody. So unless the Mets depth is just too significant where they have no reason to give these guys the call, it feels like one of Sproat or McLean will inevitably be getting the call of the Mets eventually sooner rather than later. And my question to you guys watching this right now is the following: between Brandon Sproat and Noel McLean, which pitching prospect do you think has the highest upside versus which one do you think at least has the best makeup of stuff that we're getting right now? I would love to hear your thoughts and comments down below. And this is a friendly competition thing. I hope they all thrive. I hope that next season, Brandon Sproat and Noel McLean are helping frontline this Mets rotation, and Christian Scott, coming back from Tommy John surgery, can take part in that as a 3 through 5 starter, anywhere in that range. The Mets have endless potential with their pitching staff. And a year plus ago, you had a schmuck by the name of Buster Olney, that many of you guys know very well, going out of his way to actually make a piece, actually made an article that, I wouldn't bother clicking on, which stated the following: how the Mets don't have not only a good farm, but they actually have a future that's going downward and not upward. And this was right in the heart of them starting to turn things around last season in the summer before they really turned it on. But the fact that he went on his way to rag on the Mets per usual, like the schmuck that he is, but secondly, to have 0 idea as to what the Mets pitching farm is, saying that they don't have proper pitching talent prospects wise, just tells you how much of a fair weather baseball fan you are. That was just a hit piece. That is all it was. Because all you need to do is do 30 seconds of Google searches and information to comprehend the idea that, oh wow, the Mets do actually have some really rock solid pitching prospects. And that was right also in the beginning of Jonathan and Brandon Sproat and to a degree and Noel McLean all starting to heat up there in their respective minor leagues that we saw last year. So needless to say, the Mets have pitching depth right now. It's just a matter of when are they going to start to give the kids the keys. Feels like it's got to be sooner rather than later with how good they're looking, especially Noel McLean here. And to a degree as a reliever, Felipe De La Cruz, who I think could be called up before anyone else as a lefty option for this bullpen that we'll talk more about in the future. But guys, we got more to talk about than just Noel McLean there when we break down the prospects. So before we get out of here, let me give you guys a quick prospect report on the following, because this starts here, everybody. Let's head over. Actually, let's stay with the Syracuse Mets, because I do want to get into one specific player outside of Noel McLean, and that is going to be the following that you guys are going to see right here, right now. Guys, look at it with me. Drew Gilbert's doing Drew Gilbert things. That's got to have you excited. It has me excited. Look at this, guys. An absolute tank by Drew Gilbert this past night for Team Syracuse. His second home run of the AAA season, 104.3 miles per hour off the bat, ripped to right. That is one of our top center field prospects, paired with Jet Williams, who continues to look great there for the Rummel Ponies as both a shortstop and a center field option. But Drew Gilbert absolutely smoked that baseball, and we love to see it. And let's start from the top down now by breaking down what's happened in the minor leagues, because the Syracuse Mets won their game comfortably 4-0 over the Jumbo Shrimp. Love the name. And the offensive standouts were Jared Young hitting his second home run of the season, Drew Gilbert with his second home run of the year, and De Los Santos at second base recording his 4th double of the season. Outside that, we saw Donovan Walton go 1 for 3. Gilbert's now at a 246 average and a 761 OPS. Nothing really else happened offensively there. Pitching wise, we saw McLean look awesome. And Colin Poche, who do need to emphasize here, because Poche, the Mets just signed 48 hours ago, and I promise you guys, he will get called up by the Mets, and don't be shocked if he's even a better option for them than maybe even Jesus Cabrera. He is a lefty that has looked really good the past 3.5, 4 seasons in Major League Baseball, including his time with the Tampa Bay Rays especially, but this year, he just could not get anything going with his walk rate. It was through the roof. It was like 12 walks per 9, and his first like 8 innings or so with the Nationals, so they cut him, but he has a lot of potential, just needs some tweaks, and just needs to get more swing and miss and bite on his slider. That was more of his big bugaboo so far this year. So Colin Poche, who I've actually wanted in the past on the platform, the past 2 off seasons, I've advocated for him, if not at the trade deadlines as well, as a soft-tossing southpaw option, and he went one shutty, and Ty Adcock, who I do not want to see in the majors anytime soon, because I don't think he's a major league caliber reliever the way I think Poche is, he went one shutty as well for a sub-1 ERA there in the minor leagues. So great stuff there from the Syracuse Mets. Now we're going to skip past the Rumble Ponies because they had their game canceled this past day with the Reading fighting Phils due to weather. But as we would see between the Cyclones and the Taurus, they would lose 6-5 in this matchup. And pitching wise, Gordon, who got the start, gave up 3 earned runs over 4.2 innings, has a 2.81 ERA. We also saw, unfortunately, my guy and Anthony Nunez finally start to give up some runs. 1.1 inning there as a reliever and gave up 1 earned run, but is down to a .63 ERA because I think that was the first earned run or close to that he gave up so far this year. He's looked great. Offensive standouts, we have Mr. Ewing, who has moved up from St. Lucie to Brooklyn not long ago, just a couple weeks ago. 3 for 5 with 2 runs scored, 294 average, 733 OPS. Eli Serrano went 0 for, but he's still over 800 OPS. They're batting leadoff at DH. Jacob Reimer, who had himself another monster game a couple days ago, 1 for 3 with a run scored there and an RBI, a walk, and a pair of strikeouts. 330 average and over 1,000 OPS. He had 3 home runs not that long ago, which is crazy. Carson Bench, another big game for Carson here. 2 for 3, the Mets' first-round pick from last year. Former teammate of Noah McLean's there at OSU. Love to see it. 293 average and 839 OPS. Won't be long before he's moving up there to the Rumble Ponies. Suero at first base looks good. 1 for 5 with a run scored and an RBI. 244 average, 886 OPS. And for those that don't know Suero, I would like to put you guys on for a second. Chris Suero, who is both a first base and catching prospect for the Mets. He is a New York native. He's from the Bronx. And at just a young age of 21, he is doing some really solid things here at the Brooklyn Cyclones level, which I love because this is, again, right around home turf for him as well to be getting these reps in with the Mets. So I love to see, homegrown New York talents, especially if they're from certain boroughs. They're not terribly far from Brooklyn Cyclones. That's really cool to see. De Los Santos, 1 for 3 that we talked about with 2 RBIs. And pitching-wise, we broke that down as well. So now getting on to last but not least, the St. Lucie Mets. They lost this past night 7-5 against the Threshers, but St. Lucie has been terrible this year at all. And a standout here is Colin Houck with his 7th double of the season, which I love to see. Colin Houck is finally making strides to have you encouraged as a Mets fan. First-round pick by the Mets 2 years ago under Billy Epler, 1 for 5 with a 219 average, 728 OPS, but he was abysmal like all of last year, so these are great signs in the right direction that we're seeing. Outside of him, we saw Simone Juan, top IFA signing for the Mets a couple years ago, go 2 for 4, batting 9th. We saw Perozzo there at DH going 3 for 5 with a run scored and an RBI. We also saw Davison Gutierrez, who has sadly fallen off a cliff with the bat this season after a red-hot start. Venezuelan catching prospect has a lot more development to do, not concerned there, but obviously would have liked to see him kind of continue the pace that he had so far this year. And pitching-wise, we had Dome, who won 4 innings of 4 earned run, 1 walk, 4 strikeout ball, 3.18 ERA. And that's all she wrote there on the notables. So, folks, that's going to do it for our latest prospect report and our latest Big Mets Update segment. I hope you found yourself enjoying the content. If you did, please hit that like and subscribe on your way out. And please let us know all your key takeaways in the comments down below. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one later on today for more New York Metropolitan coverage, hopefully after the Amazons can go out and win the series against the Chicago Cubs. And one final thing before we get out of here, everybody, because I've told you guys this in the past, I'll continue to reiterate this as you guys already see. We have our official Wardy Day beginning August 1st, 2025, folks. Mets, Giants. We're doing a huge group outing there at Citi Field. All you amazing Mets fans, you guys are going to be getting pregame access on the field with your guy Wardy for group photos. You're also going to be getting an $18 drink voucher, and we're going to be in a really fun lounge area that's in the top left field that's been remade and redone just over the past couple of years. And right next to it is a brand new bar that they've had that's fairly new as well that we can hang out with, grab drinks, have a great time there, and then we'll be doing a show live from Citi Field with all you guys, which I cannot wait to make happen. So again, guys, if you want to take part in Wardy day to hang out with your guy Wardy at a Mets game for the first time ever, because I haven't done something like this before, please make sure to click the link down below, top of the description here, right away in the show. That's going to say Wardy Day tickets here. Click on that. Feel free to purchase your tickets should you have interest. I will see you guys there at Wardy Day. We're going to be promoting this all throughout the course of the season leading up to the big day. This is also fireworks night, and the best part of it all, and that's in part why we picked the date, is because it's immediately after the MLB trade deadline. So right the day prior, we're going to be bananas live streaming all day. All things the Mets do or don't do on the trade deadline, right? Then the following day, we're going to be right at Citi Field to break down and potentially live react in real time with all you guys to the new acquisitions of the team. I'm excited. I cannot wait. And thank you guys again in advance for checking out by clicking that link down below. Let's go Mets, baby. I'll see you all later tonight. Until then, have a great rest of your night, day, evening, whatever you're watching this. This is your guy, Wardy, signing out. Peace out, everybody. Have a great one.